Hey everyone, I hope y'all are all doing great today. I just want to talk with y'all today about a concept that I figured out at a certain point in my life that helped me out pretty good. And I call this concept living your life in squares and not in circles. And while that may seem obvious, I'm going to explain a little bit of it. I feel like too many people get caught up living their life in a circle, and they just repeat the same thing. And a lot of people will call it, like the revolving door of the system and all those kind of names for it. Addiction works this same way, and people just have to stop living their life in a circle. If you want different results and you're not happy where you're at, the only thing you can do is change what you're doing. And the reason I try to say live your life in squares is because at every line that you take, there may be some curves or some twists, along the path that you take, but keep in mind that concept of the square. So whenever you think about traveling down in a certain direction, you're aware that you can go straight, make a right, make a left. You can even go back in a way, because you can say, well, this worked for me, so you can try to repeat those same steps again if something messes up or hinders you, and you lose your direction. But I'm trying to touch out, to people that get caught up on the drugs and get caught up in the streets and going to jail. It always seems that it's the same thing. Most of the people come up in this as kids. By the time they're old enough to go to jail, they probably done been a few times, and the older they get, the worse it gets, the more serious the charges get. You go to jail, you get a little slap on the wrist a couple times, you don't care. That just hardens you up, makes you accept the concept of being in jail, makes you accept the environment. Oh man, I made it out of there, it wasn't no thing, and you're caught up in it. And this can even be from watching your parents, being surrounded by the people that do the same thing, because they never break the pattern or the family tradition. Some even brag about it being a family tradition. And I just want to shine the light to people that are maybe trying to change. They're tired of selling drugs and then getting caught and going to jail and sit down for a while, and then they do that a bunch of times, and it's just the same process every time. And while some people say, oh man, the money's easy, I don't know how to do anything else, I don't want to go be a landscaper, I don't want to go work at the factory, I don't want to go work at McDonald's. And while those may not be pleasant jobs, at least what you get, you have the ability to keep and maintain, and you're not having to pay with your life sitting in a jail cell somewhere wasting away. And I know all these kids, when they're growing up, they don't get showed the right attention sometimes. They don't get taught the right things. Their parents are drug dealers, or their friends are, and their parents are not aware in their life enough to manage and guide them, to keep them on the right track, to make them not. And then sometimes kids just tear down that track all on their own. But my message is, just because it looks cool and it looks fun and they all look turned up and blinged out and all that, even though you can eventually reach that point, I can almost guarantee you that no matter what, it's all temporary. You might be at that certain level for 2 or 3 years and then get busted and lose 15 to 20 in the system. And then think about all the relationships you damaged. Think about the kids that you ain't going to get to see. Think about your mom could die while you're in there. Your brothers could, your sisters could. And this is all because you wanted to play the game. You wanted to be like the cool guys on the block. And I went down that same path, so I'm here trying to get people at any age to listen to me, to not go down that path. I do understand that it can happen at any time in your life, at any age. For some reason, even though people are at different ages, sometimes they're not on the same level, or they just decide to up and change and just start doing stuff. I talk a lot about drug addiction because a lot of times the drug addiction is what leads you to street addiction, money addiction. Now sometimes it's not. There's some people that are strictly doing it, for the money and all that, but it's just a circle. You're living your life in a circle. You start out hustling, you selling some drugs, you move some stuff, you get set up, you get caught, you go to jail, you get probation, you violate that 25 times, all while selling drugs still. You go back in jail and you sit down for a while, and people spend 5, 10, 20 years doing this. And while I'm not shaming them, because I understand that, we're humans, we can get caught up in liking that lifestyle and just doing that. I was a victim of myself of doing that for quite a while. Finally, I learned my lesson, thankfully, without having to suffer too much as far as being behind bars. A lot of stuff can happen to you just growing up in it, and happen to you in the streets and jail and all that, enough to make you finally say, no more of this. And it's just, people have to break the habit of living in that circle. You can see people out there in them streets doing that stuff, and it's just the same thing. Like, I don't understand how they don't wake up and get tired. And maybe it's because there's not enough people like me and some of the other YouTube channels putting out the messages that are like this, and all these kids are listening to this real thuggish rap music, and why some of that rap music I do think is good to listen to, or it's got a cool beat, but I mainly only listen to the ones that have the message similar to what I'm saying, the ones that are talking about the pain that's in it, because all of these rappers, a lot of them are just putting out, and even, just music, a lot of music now, in general, is putting out to teach these kids, that they think that that's cool and that they're supposed to do that, and it's all just backwards and wrong. So my message to you is think very strategically. If you're stuck in that circle, whenever I got out of jail the last time, what made me finally quit was, I said, I'm tired of this. I have got to change this life. I do not want to live this way no more. I can't take it. I can't stand it. Look at how we're living. We're out here, we don't own anything. We're strung out on drugs, done lost everything on that. Done went down that road, very, very far. And a lot of people don't stop and realize that. I know people that have lived that way for 30 years or more, and it's like, how can you never learn or get tired of that and get off that track? And I know that when you get on them drugs, that you get stuck in certain messed up situations, mostly because you're not living right and you're not doing right. But the first decision that you need to make is to change. Get off of that circle route that you're going in. Get on a straight line toward a goal that you have. And then when you reach that goal, go straight to proceed another goal, or say, I've made it this far. I got my driver's license. Now I need to get me a GED. So take a right, go to get you a GED. Change the situation. And people are all the time saying stuff about, well, I don't have no help, I don't have no way to get out of this trap. I don't have no way to break the circle. But there's resources out there that'll help you. There's people that will help you. you can stay in shelters, and they'll let you get a job, and you can go to school. And if you have problems even paying for the GED itself, they'll get it for you. You can get financial aid and go to college. I mean, you don't have to stay stuck living your life in that circle. And just so what if your parents did it, you know, or all your brothers and sisters are doing it, and they're going to turn their back on you because you changed and you went down a different way. Don't let them keep you down. Don't let them drag you down. It's your life, and it's your circle, or it's your square. Thank y'all for watching.